Hi class, welcome to your online work. We're going to practice a little bit today. Our first unit is going to be Unit 3, Measurement, that we're going to do online. So just to have a quick little overview, we'll be looking at measuring the metric system. So we're going to be measuring length. Okay, so we'll be measuring length or distance, and then we're measuring volume and of course area. Volume and area. So we're talking about the different measurements for that in the metric system, as well as we're looking at these three and talking about these three down here in the imperial system as well. So for all of what we're doing today, we're going to be looking at length, volume, and area in both types of systems. Then we'll be converting between the systems, which is so common for us to have to do. Okay, everyone's going to do that because everyone's probably going to be using an oven, and you got to go between Celsius and Fahrenheit. We'll be talking about some estimations, so kind of, the distance, what units to use, things like that. So you're not going to measure, the diameter of a pencil in kilometers. Doesn't make sense. And you're not going to measure the distance between atmosphere and Chilliwack in millimeters, because that doesn't make sense. Then we'll do a little bit of perimeter, a little bit of circumference, and a little bit of area, and a little bit of surface area, using our different units, and of course having to convert back and forth between them. Okay, a lot of this conversion stuff, we're going to show you the math, but then we're going to get you to use your electronic devices. Okay, so using Google, so much of this stuff, you just type into Google, the answer pops up. Okay, and if you're working, that's probably what you'd be doing, unless you're like an engineer, and we're not going to be, because we just want to get through math. We ain't math nuts. So, going on then today, there's one correction you have to make in your booklet. Okay, there's a mistake here that happens every year. I got to figure out how to fix it, and I haven't done that yet. Right here on this page. Okay, so this is page 8. So turn right now to page 8. You need to fix this mistake. So right here, I don't think this is the booklet you have. Darn it, I think this is the booklet I copied right here. My bad. Okay, so right here, there's a mistake. When you are going down the staircase, you multiply by 10. So we need to scratch this word out, and we need to put the word multiply here. Okay, this was done backwards. And so you can put a multiplication sign on the staircase, which is exactly what I did right here. It's got to be a multiply. And so then the opposite is true then. This word should be scratched out. When you're going up the staircase, you're dividing by groups of 10. Okay, and so you can put a divide sign here. And so you do that over here as well. So make sure you've done this in your booklet. Correct it, please. Okay. Correct it. So make sure you got this correct. And that's your exit out of the classroom today. Without this done, you ain't leaving. So the rest of our lesson is just going back and forth into the metric system. These are all the different types of prefixes that you can attach. So what would you attach it to? Well, your base unit or basic unit, which would be meter if you're measuring length, liter if you're measuring volume, and if you're measuring mass, it would be the gram. Okay, and so then we add our prefixes. So for example, kilo, we use that one a lot. So it would be kilometer, it would be kilogram, and it would be kiloliter, which we don't use a lot, but it does exist. We also use hecto a little bit, okay, especially when we're during forest fire season. Deca a little bit, deci, centi all the time. So centi we use a lot for centimeters. You can then get centigrams, and you can get centiliters, although it's not very common. For milli, we use that one quite a bit. So we get millimeters, we get centigrams, which is a little unusual. And we could also get, what's the other one? Sorry, let me delete that. There we go. The last one would be milliliters, which we use a lot. Okay. And if you have a pet, or you have kids, you have to know that one for medicine when you're giving medicine to your animal. Now, obviously these are for, at the top, it's for large numbers. Okay, and we use the prefixes to make them more of a manageable number, and then these ones would be for very small numbers. As you can see, there are other prefixes which we don't use a lot of. So we usually don't go above kilo, and we usually don't go below milli, okay? Because those are just, unless we're dealing with space for large numbers, we would use those, the top ones, and for bottom ones, if we're looking at microscopes, we'll be using the smaller ones. Also for us, you guys probably aren't going to know these ones right here, the deca and the deci, okay, and probably not the hecto, but they are there, okay? So each one is a step up of a group 10. So you can see our base unit is at 1. If we were going up, then we would divide, and if we were going down, we would multiply. Okay, I think this is one, if you look at this chart, that's kind of why they got messed up. Okay, because you don't actually look at the chart to change the numbers. So, good old acronym to help you out. King Henry died, Mary didn't cry much. So those first letters of each name stands for a prefix to help you memorize the different units that we commonly use. So King Henry, K stands for kilo. Henry, the H stands for hecto. King Henry died, D stands for deca. The M stands for meter. Okay, and we got to remember that's our base unit. So again, this is kind of driven for measuring length. Then the other D stands for deci. And then the C stands for centimeter or centi, and the M stands for milli. So those are the common ones that you need to know. If we're ever moving in this direction, you would divide by 10, and anytime we're moving that direction, you times by 10. So really what that does is you're moving the decimal place. Your digits should not change, just the decimal moves. Okay, and it moves one spot for each step. Okay, going down here. All right, so here it is in this fashion. So if you're going in this direction, yeah, you're multiplying by 10, dividing by 10. So if I had a number like 4.2 meters, and I want to go 1, 2 spots, then I would simply move my decimal 1, 2 spots, and that would then equal 420 centimeters. So I would have to fill in a 0 for that 1 decimal spot that beyond the 2. And if I had a number, say 3,100 meters, if I moved 1, 2, 3 spots, I would have to take my decimal. Where would that be located right now? Right here, and I would move it 1, 2, 3 spots, and that would be 3.1 kilometers. So the digits will be the same, but you're going to have to add or subtract zeros, okay? And that's because it's a base 10 system. And that makes it easier to use, which is why it's so widely used around the world. Good. And so here's our common symbols for measuring. Okay, length we're measuring in meters, mass we're measuring in grams, capacity, which is volume. Okay, that's how we know it. We use volume. And temperature is in degrees Celsius. Okay, we'll be talking about the other ones for the imperial. I mean, what are the imperial ones? Okay, common ones for length would be, feet, inches, and miles. And then for mass, it would be pounds, lb. And then for capacity, usually it'd be like cups and gallons. And for temperature on your oven, you got it, it's in Fahrenheit, which is probably more commonly used than Celsius. Okay, so assignment number 4, you're going back and forth. If you moved 2 units to this direction, you would times it by 100. You would have to have 2 zeros. If you moved it by 3 steps, you would have to have 3 zeros, and it's in this direction, so I divide by 1,000. Okay, go for it. So right now, you should be doing assignment number 1, converting these, okay? Of course, here we're looking for reference. For a small paper clip, you wouldn't measure it in kilometers. So you're just choosing appropriate measurements based on the size of the item.